Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is MASANDI Permana from SMI Negeri 1 RANGKASBITUNG, and here I've been given a task to do a monologue regarding the good and bad side of the pandemic we all know and love, that is COVID-19 pandemic. Of course, you will know about this pandemic. This pandemic has been a talking point for the last year and a half, maybe year. Now, whenever you talk about a pandemic, naturally, you will focus on the bad side of the pandemic. Of course, you do that because that's the nature of a natural disaster. It's a bad thing that is comes within a certain amount of time. Because pandemic in on itself is a disaster, what is possibly a good and positive thing that comes with a disaster? Now, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm so excited to tell you about it. And I'm just gonna do it quite quickly because time limits us today. On the plain side, pandemic can only bring misery and pain and death. Well, that statement is not wrong. That statement is true. So we are going to focus on the bad side of the COVID pandemic first. So I think it is quite easy that we can all say the same thing about a pandemic, is that it's a disaster, it's a bad thing. Yes, we can't argue with that. Now I'm going to try and break it down to you what the bad thing is and how it arrives. So first, it's a disease. Of course, we all know that. We are aware of that. Of course, the main concern about a pandemic is, of course, the health issue because it is a disease that attacks your health. For the past year, every scientist and doctors all around the world, including nurses, struggles because of the disease of the pandemic, of the death toll that is keeps skyrocketing, leaving families stray and isolated. People got sick and becomes a problem, of course, because the hospitals, it has a limit, it has a room limit, it has a bed limit, it has their um, infrastructure limit, and of course doctors and the nurses there has their limits as well. So with people, more and more people got sick, of course the room and the bed and the treatment gets a little bit worse because of the lack of the resources to support that. So the second thing that is bad and disastrous thing about COVID-19 pandemic is, of course, that everything got cancelled. Of course, we are aware of this, especially we students and teachers, that is school got cancelled, job got cancelled, offices got closed. Of course, we are just going to focus on the school got cancelled thing because we are students, we are teachers, and we can vouch that school getting close is a struggle for us, especially for the students because learning gets harder, too many tasks without sufficient learning activities, and then of course for the teachers, teaching got harder, and of course the um I guess the score that the students get is basically lowered, and then comes the economic that is plummeted. Again, people lost their jobs because office got closed, markets got closed, everything got closed. Traders lost their buyers, economy slowed down. All because people can't go out of their home, out of their house, and that is a bad thing because again, it makes the economy plummeted. Now, we are just going to jump at the good thing that is happening because of the COVID-19 pandemic after dwelling on those list of bad things. For the people who has an optimistic mindset and positive view to the world and the environment, they can actually see the tiny good things that is happening in our society. Believe it or not, the pandemic carries a ton of changes in humanity. It changes our behavior towards each other and to the nature alongside. So, what are those changes? So, first, it makes people more aware of public health. Of course, after the pandemic happened, people start to wash their hands a little bit more. People start to wear masks. People start to basically just maintain their health, just avoid the disease. And that is a good thing because if we can continue this beyond the pandemic, of course, that will make us a little bit healthier, a little bit safer in a way. Secondly, it brings people closer together, and I think personally that this is the best thing that can happen via a pandemic. So being in the same situation, of course, makes us more caring towards each other because of that feeling that we know about, being in a pandemic. We can't go out of our house. And being in that situation makes us a little bit more caring towards each other, and of course bring out the sympathy in our side and ourselves, and makes us a little bit more, aware of each other's well-being, and of course supporting each other in a way that we are capable of course moral support and health support and everything like that. And of course there is a lot more charities that is comes out. There is, supporting the life of people who got jobless and lost their income. These charities can actually help out those people who are in need, and this is a proof that there is still humanity left in us. There are still a good thing that can happen because of the pandemic. And now, guys, that is all I can say and tell you about the good and bad sides, the blue and the red sides, and the benefits and loss of this pandemic. Of course, there's a lot more to say and tell, and I would love to elaborate these points and depend the realism and means into it, but obviously time limits us in this particular chance. So thank you for listening this short monologue, and thank you for these past few years. You guys been absolutely very lovely and very patient with us. And for now, from me to you guys for the practical exam, that is your lot. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.